Am I in good frame?
Yes, you are.
So we've been talking for a while. I'd like to just let my followers, my viewers know that we've been here in Peekskill attending this lovely hair meetup called Curls and Conversation. We've watched a presentation by Wonder Curl where she did, the model just stepped out, but she did a lovely wash and go on our model using her products. And so in the interim, we've been having conversation. There have been a lot of questions going on. And so now we're just going to go to the portion of the discussion where we're talking specifically about porosity. And for those of you who know and have been following me for some time, you know this is a major topic for me, especially talking about low porosity, because it's something that I'm going to use the word suffer, something that I suffer with, because when you have something that's challenging, it's something that you tend to suffer with. It's like painful. So we're going to be talking specifically about porosity, and on the beginning part, what I'm going to do, since many of them kind of have an idea what porosity is, I'm going to give a little demonstration that I'm so excited about doing. So I hope it looks good on the camera, but for the most part, it's really for all of these lovely ladies out here who came out to attend this, this wonderful hair meetup. So behind me, I have 3 different materials. I have this lovely sheet of paper, which many of you know is it's wrapping paper for your rod sets. I have a towel. Yeah. I have a towel, and I have a cape. These are all different fibers, and so I'm going to use them to show you how they actually absorb and hold moisture. So the first one I'm going to do is this this paper. Just going to spray it once. With that little bit of spraying, there are a lot of little drips on it, and if you touch it, it's almost completely soaked. I'm going to pass it around so you can feel it. That was just one spray. That one's going to represent high porosity because it gets moist really fast, but by the time it comes back to me, it may be dry. This is a towel. I'm going to spray this once. Probably closer to range too. And you can actually feel where the water is absorbed. That was just one spray. Then I'm going to take this cape, which is designed to repel water. So that's going to represent normal porosity. And I'm going to show you with this cape that's meant to repel water. I'm just going to spray this once. And you can pretty much see nothing is absorbed on here. No. If it's hard to absorb moisture, that means it's low porosity. So Donna had shared with us earlier that the understanding of porosity is your hair's ability to absorb and to hold on to moisture. And that's completely accurate. It's your hair's ability to receive and hold on to, or absorb and retain. So another way that you can look at it is your hair's ability to its availability of your hair's availability and capability of absorbing, receiving, or holding on to and retaining. So with normal porosity hair like that towel, you have the availability to receive it, and you also have the capability to hold on to it. So it's not going to dry out really fast. With low porosity hair, the availability to receive it and to absorb it is where you struggle. We struggle to get that moisture in. There are fewer spaces where the cuticle layer lifts up in order to allow that moisture in. But when it comes to holding on to that moisture, oh yeah, it will hold on to it really well. But you only got a little bit in. So we are going to struggle with moisture retention because we got so little moisture in from the very beginning. With high porosity, it's the opposite. Getting moisture in, like that little piece of paper that's going around, easy, immediately becomes moist. But by the same token, it immediately leaves. So your hair is dry again. So with normal porosity hair, maintaining the hair is just easy as pie. You just don't need to go overboard and do anything that's going to wear your hair out and cause it to become extremely or overly porous. Because once it becomes overly porous, remember, the moisture comes in, but then it leaves just as quickly, and so you're going to experience dry hair. And the reason for that is you have a lot of spaces in your cuticle layer where the moisture is getting in because the hair is chipped, the cuticle layer is chipped, or it's broken, you have holes in it, and what causes those holes and those chips tends to be either heat damage, you're using a lot of you're doing a lot of heat styling without a heat protectant, or you go get your hair color treated and it's over processed, so you blew that cuticle layer wide open, it's busted, it's broken, it's damaged, or you've been doing some type of styling where you're really wearing that cuticle layer out. So you have all these holes, all these chips, all this breakage in that layer of that layer of your hair that was designed to protect the cortex layer. So there you're going to experience a lot of frizz, you're going to experience a lot of dryness. And with the low porosity hair, it's just by birth. We're born with it. And like I had said to some of you before, about 45% of my hair is low porosity. But I have hair that's well maintained. So there is hope for us. There's hope for all of us. Okay? Any questions so far about the description and what I've shown you and what I've explained? Yes?
One question. You said about coloring.
Yes. A question about coloring.
Yes. You want to get the gray out. Now, I'm not saying that we're doing it all the time. I mean, at least to get the gray out. Like maybe every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, that's okay.
Well, you're going to do it, right?
Yes.
It's just a matter of, okay, gray hair has no pigmentation. It's very resistant. It's like that cake that I sent you around. It's very resistant. It's not, understand this. When you're coloring normal hair, you're dealing with pigmentation. Gray hair has no pigmentation. So all you're doing is putting something on and it's going to fade. You notice that when you color gray hair, it fades every wash, no matter what, no matter how permanent you think it's going to be, it can't be because it's gray hair and it's resistant. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
But every 6 weeks ain't gonna hurt.
You will do better to have a professional color your hair than to pull a box out and do it yourself.
Oh, I don't do it myself.
Okay.
I go.
So allow that person to determine how much processing you need so that the rest of your hair that may not be gray yet is well maintained. Is your whole head gray?
No.
Or? Right, okay.
Just the edges.
Okay.
Don't like it.
Okay. Keep moving on. Any other questions? Any other questions about what we're talking about?
But the coloring, doesn't it dry out your hair when you color your hair?
Absolutely. So when you go ahead and start processing your hair, now what you're doing is you're lifting up that cuticle layer by force. You're using peroxide, you're using bleach, you're using chemicals to lift that cuticle layer up rather than the temperature or the water. When you put water on your hair, it's a different pH, so it automatically lifts. And also when you're applying heat, it causes your cuticle layer to expand, causes your hair to expand. If you're using a chemical to make a change to your hair, then that's going to be more damaging. And those people tend to experience more porosity or low porosity to a higher level of porous hair because you chose to color your hair.
Well, which is better, permanent color or color rinse?
As far as the healthier hair, I would say the rinse, although I personally don't like working with rinses because my fingers get on
Oh, okay.
and it gets everywhere. But yeah, it is healthy.
Yeah, and rinses also help to deposit like extra color and stuff into your hair, and that does help nourish it. Yeah, as long as you're not stripping color out. So remember, you can't go.
Okay. Yes.
Is gray always genetics or it could be stress related?
I don't know if it's stress related. It definitely is genetic. Second?
Could be stress.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I can't speak to the stress level.
Like my oldest sister, at one point, I'm like looking at her hair, and she had like in the middle of a strand, it went gray, and I was like, what was going on in your life at that particular time? Because it went back to her regular dark brown color. So I was like, you were really stressed out over something at this particular point in your life. So sometimes it is stress related. It's like all different factors.
I just want to say thanks to Scarlett for Wonder Curl.
Oh.
Thanks to you for introducing me to Wonder Curl.
Oh, wow.
But one of the things you mentioned heat. I know when I do my wash and goes, it shrinks up and I really can't stand it. So I use a diffuser. Am I messing with the cuticles or what's happening after the curl's set? And then now I'm adding heat to that hair.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to address is you hating that it shrinks. Scarlett had just mentioned to us that when your hair curls up and it shrinks, that's your hair curling up. If you had straight hair, it wouldn't shrink because it's not curling up. You have curly hair. And so when you're using a diffuser, because the air is diffused, you're not getting as much heat to it. But what I stay away from using a diffuser on a regular basis, although I do use it for my clients because I want you to leave the salon with a finished style. On my hair, I completely air dry because I don't want to accelerate the drying process. I want my hair to dry naturally over time so that I retain the maximum amount of moisture because I like to wear my hair in the wash and go for an entire week. So it's not that it's damaging your hair, but it's going to impact, you know, how much moisture retention you have. You're already at the stage where you got that nice big fro, and I like for my hair to get big. Sometimes by day 5 or day 6, I have really big hair. It's just you're accelerating it so you can get that nice big hair. That's fine, but just know that you're most likely not going to get as many days of moisture retention because of that.
And what day is this for you, babe?
This is day 6.
Day 6. How did you turn around for the crowd for them to see the fluff?
I got my mom, you got your sister.
We're even.
And what am I using, right? Was that the next question?
Exactly. Scarlett, what is she using?
Everything on the table.
Just about.
And here it is.
Then you too can have hair.
She's having a great hair day.
And so let me just go ahead and say that. So I am using 2 of the moisturizers and 2 of the stylers because I find that my low porosity hair responds very well to the Get Set Hair Jelly, which is a stronger holding gel. What I was doing is I've shared with you all, you know, who watch my videos on YouTube, what I shared is that I have the low porosity areas of hair in the front that I always had to refresh. But I notice now that when I use the Get Set Hair Jelly on day 1 that I can lay them down more. So it cuts out having to redo something. So I just decided to go ahead and put that in. And then because my hair was so well defined, it wouldn't fluff out that much, even by day 4 or 5. I decided to incorporate the Get Slick Hair Smoothie to see if I can get my hair to be bigger, and I can. So even though it's a very good moisturizer, my hair gets more fluffy using it. And then I decided, let me try some more combinations. So now I have the Butter Than Love pudding in my hair, so I can get that wet moisture that it gives, especially in my lowest porosity section of hair, in the crown section. But then I also incorporate using the Get Slick Hair Smoothie so I can get a little bit of fullness to it. Yes.
Do you do haircuts as well and trims?
Oh, absolutely, all day long.
Yeah.
We're so glad you asked.
And just so you all know, the question was, do I do cuts and trims? And I said yes, absolutely, all day long. Okay, go ahead.
I would say I'm 2 years overdue.
Wow. Okay, and so to make an appointment with me,
I'm glad you asked.
because I take clients by appointment only, to make an appointment with me, you go to styleseat.com. I love the fact that pens are going out, papers going out. Let's do this. That's why we're here. Styleseat.com.
It's also an app.
Yeah, it is also an app. And /Abena Palmore. Abena Palmore is spelled A-B-E-N-A. Palmore is P-A-L-M-O-R-E.
It's all one word.
It's no spaces.
Donna
I have it.
Yeah.
I've got all their stuff. Don't
Yes,
worry.
I'd like for you to take pictures of my card.
Okay, that's it.
And Donna
Yes.
could, if you guys
Yeah.
want it, because she has everyone's email when you sign
Oh, you
up.
did?
Yes.
If you didn't sign
If
up,
they pay, if you pay through Eventbrite, I definitely have your email address, and so I'll email you to get on my newsletter so that when we have more events, you'll know right away. If you didn't go through Eventbrite, and all those who are in Meetup.com also, I got your information. But if you came through the door and you paid cash, then make sure you get on my email list so that, and I can get you Scarlett and Abana's information as well. So.
Yeah, and we want
Yes,
to
there's
do more events out here for you guys.
Yes, we do.
We're glad that you asked.
There's another question.
Day 6 for you. How do you sleep?
Okay, so the question is, since this is day 6, how do I maintain my hair in between? So I'm going to show you.
Oh, yes, please.
Was I looking good? It's over here.
Listen, don't have a picture of me like that. She posts stuff like that.
I do not do that. All right, so I only use silk or satin on my hair. This happens to be a very big silk scarf that it was actually bigger. I had it cut in half. And so what I like to do, because I have so much hair, I like to have something big, and then all I do is flip my hair over. I'm trying to be in that camera too.
Yeah.
This is all true. This is really all true. She's fanatical.
And it's kind of like that, you know, how Tupac used to wear his hair.
This is how I sleep at night. And then because it's so much longer now, it would be in my face. I'm trying to sleep. I actually do this. Yeah, I can't see it. I usually do it in the mirror, but I usually pull and start to cover it more. So it almost becomes like a beanie or something like that. So it's completely out of my face. This is how. And see, now I'm on camera and everything.
Keeping it real.
I'd never put pictures like this on Instagram, but this
now
is
it's
when I go to sleep.
It's out there.
This is, yeah, I want to screenshot.
But even the
And
other
then-
set, even the other set you have is good. That just completely covers everything. Is just as good, right?
Someone,
Not for me.
someone on Periscope wants to know when you shower, how do you keep your hair from
Well, that thing that I had just now, all I do is put a cap on it, on top, on the absolute top. Yeah.
Well, when my hair was long,
And then when I go to the gym, because I go to the gym every other day, I do this. And I can't really see. I usually do it in the mirror. But yeah, I have my puff. Okay, and so this is fine. As long yeah, this is my puff. So as long as the hair is not touching my forehead or my neck, it stays fine. The curl definition is not touched. And you see how I didn't apply any pressure. I didn't, brush it or anything like that. So then when I'm done, all I do is see how gentle I am with my hair.
She really is like this.
But in the gym, when you're sweating, I mean, your roots are gonna.
Here's the truth.
Because I mean, if you're doing the biggest workout, or if you're running, and
But
you just put that up.
I just have to maintain a little bit. I don't have to do all that. So yeah, I don't do aerobics or anything like that. I'm not doing like the Scarlett saying the heavy sweating bullets and stuff like that. But I do have sweat. So if it were to touch, my forehead or my neck, it would get wet. So if it's just the roots, because when you take your hair down, it's fine. If you do a lot of cardio and you do a lot of sweating, you're going to want to do a midweek refresher. If you're someone like me who wears your hair the entire week, you may want to go ahead and do a refresher.
And what's a refresher?
It's almost like rewashing your hair, but some people only use a conditioner rather than using a shampoo. So you're not really cleaning your hair, but you're just getting it wet again and putting some product on it.
Oh, okay.
But for those of you with low porosity hair, I really don't like the idea of you putting conditioner on your hair because it so clogs up.
do you shake after your washing?
I'm not taking questions from the crowd or from the...
Right.
She's on Periscope.
That's how Periscope.
Okay, say again.
But we only have like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should kind of,
So that's
Okay, so how are we with porosity? Are we good so far? What are our questions specifically as it pertains to porosity? Because this is really key. This is really key. Like I was saying to you, my wash and go I've been doing for about 3.5 years. I'm still making improvements with it. And as I had said before, I was refreshing the front portions of my hair because they would start to frizz out again, and that's because the porosity, it just did not receive the moisture on day one or when I first did my wash and go. So I had to touch it up again. But because I started incorporating, the Get Set hair jelly, I can get more of that hold, and I've shown you in my videos how I press it now, or I showed you on my Periscope a couple of weeks ago, how I can press and hold it. And because the Get Set hair jelly from Wonder Curl has such a strong hold, I can get it to stay like that, and I don't have to refresh. those portions of my hair.
And I don't pay her to say this.
I'll be sending her my bill though.
So basically, the porosity of your hair is never going to change. It's always, it is what it is, right?
Okay, so
You go from low to high.
You can go from
the question
you can go
is,
from the sheet. You can go from the little sheet to the satin thing.
it's the opposite. So the question is, can your porosity change? And yes, it can absolutely change over time, but it's going to change in the direction of from low to high. It doesn't go in the reverse, because understand, high porosity hair or highly porous hair is highly porous because it's missing or has a lot of holes or chips in that cuticle layer that's designed to protect your cortex. That is why your hair is highly porous. So you can't replace, those shingles in your cortex.
Is
Your
that something
cuticle layer.
natural? That's usually just a result of damage to high porosity hair.
Most likely damage, but there are, believe it or not, there are some people who actually have highly porous hair that have never color treated their hair, that have never put any type of heat to their hair. They just have highly porous hair. And so it's so important for you to know what your porosity level is. And so one of the things that Scarlett had touched upon is she usually asks people, how long does it take your hair to dry? We've already talked about that water test, which a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with, when you put your hair strands in that cup of water and see if it floats, stays at the top, if it sinks halfway, or if it goes all the way to the bottom to indicate whether it's at the bottom, it's highly porous. If it's just going down halfway but still sticking out at the top, that means it's normal porosity. And if it's just floating, there's no penetration to that water, that means it didn't absorb anything, it's very resistant, that means it's low porosity. Unfortunately, that test gives inaccurate results, and some people are treating their hair as if it's one level of porosity when it's the opposite. So it's not good. So that's why I like to tell people or ask them, when you air dry, not does it take long to dry, but how long does it take to dry? Because I know for myself, my normal porosity hair only takes about 2 hours to dry. The rest of my hair that's low porosity can take, like this center part, can take 15 hours to dry. So you know your hair is low porosity. If you have hair that's taking 15 hours to dry, that's low porosity.
But when you said how long does it take your hair to dry, is that without product in it?
Very specific, and I'm glad you asked that question. So when I ask you how long does it take to dry, it's usually after you've styled it. So if you've styled your hair in a wash and go, you have gel on your hair, you have a moisturizer on your hair, you have some product on your hair. It's going to take a while for it to dry, and so if it takes 2 hours, then that's most likely normal. Depending also on how much hair you have. If it's highly dense, like my hair is not extremely dense. There are people who have really, really dense hair. They're going to take longer to dry because the air has to get to those hairs. If your hair is not as dense and it takes a really long time to dry, then you definitely have low porosity hair. Now on the flip side, if you have product on your hair and you have a wash and go and your hair is dry in 30 minutes, most likely you have highly porous hair.
My hair has no product in it, it dries in like that. But once I put product in it, it takes like 6 hours. But I think it's just because of the product.
6 hours?
Yeah, I have a lot of hair, remember?
Okay. So,
I have a lot of hair.
wow. So that's really, so her hair takes an extremely long time to dry. Wow.
Very dense and thick. I have thick strands. Oh, thick strands.
So the thickness of your hair is going to impact how your hair receives moisture and receives product, and also, as you can see from Scarlett, how long it's going to take to dry. So you have to be really careful in trying to identify whether or not you have low or high porosity, because if she said it takes 6 hours for her hair to dry, and she has color treatment to her hair, right now she's most likely normal to almost high. That's a lot. That's a long time for her hair to dry. Any other questions about that? Does anyone have that experience where it takes an extremely long time, or the reverse, dries really quickly?
Ridiculously long.
So what is that length? Is that 5 hours, 10 hours?
In the middle, probably like 12 to 15 hours. Because if I wash my hair at like in the morning, the next day, end of the day, it's still wet. My hair's up, yeah. It's like this.
Okay.
So the perimeter of my hair will dry, but the inside is still like damp.
I can't tell you because I never wait.
You never what?
I never wait. I try to air dry, but it doesn't work. And
Okay.
So and I can't go to bed with wet hair.
Yeah, I can't.
So I get my diffuser.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've talked about
Yeah,
this.
we have.
Sharon, low porosity.
I have one.
Yeah.
So what is the best thing to do with low porosity? I mean, you probably said this, but just to reiterate.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
So when you know what your porosity level is, like say for example, if you do have low porosity, I've given several steps in a video called How to Moisturize Your Hair, extended version. It's a very long video.
17 minutes and 1 second.
There you go. So 17 minutes and 1 second.
You'll love it, and we're glad you asked.
But for those
While you're doing your hair.
For those people who have never come to my salon, who I've never spoken with directly, who have just watched that video, have written and commented back to me and saying, I have finally gotten moisture into my hair after watching your video. So I list 6 steps that you could do, starting with checking that water temperature, making sure for low porosity hair it is as warm as possible. Never extremes. Never, ever, ever extremes. So you don't ever want to put hot water on the low porosity hair, but it's as warm as it can be on your bare skin. So I always ask you to test it on your arm because it's more sensitive than your hand. Your hand can take higher heat. So you start there, you squeeze your hair as you're moisturizing it. When you're wetting it, if you squeeze it, it'll encourage the cuticle layer to lift up and it'll encourage that water to go in. Otherwise, it'll be like that cape where you're spraying and it's just rolling off. A lot of you have experienced that. So you're squeezing it and you're washing it. Washing your hair with shampoo actually removes any buildup. So now the surface of your hair is free to receive that moisture. For low porosity hair, that's extremely important. You should never skip washing your hair when you have low porosity hair. You want to get moisture into it, so you need to remove any and all barriers. And so after that, a lot of people have found good relief from and get some moisture in when they're doing a deep condition. And if you're deep conditioning, you get even more when you're using a steamer. So if you can get a hooded steamer, that will work very well for low porosity hair. Yes?
Is there a difference with the paraben-free, silicone-free? This is better.
Okay. Another thing that we need to understand is in context. If you hear that people are avoiding certain things, there must be a reason why. And one of the things that people avoid silicones for is because they were avoiding shampoo, and specifically shampoo with sulfate. A silicone is a synthetic oil. So it's manufactured to behave like oil, and what is oil meant to do? Or how do we use it with our hair? We use it to seal. So if it's designed specifically to help you seal the moisture in, then it's going to help, provided that you follow it with a sulfate shampoo. So you can use sulfate, but just remember, it must be used in conjunction with shampoo. So that way you don't have buildup on your hair, which will block you from getting moisture, and you would then experience dryness, which is the whole reason why you would use silicones. And for those who have highly porous hair, you actually need silicones. So if you're experiencing where your hair gets dry just like that, you may want to go ahead and incorporate products that include, like Demicone. You'll see that in the ingredient listing. It's a silicone.
Sicones and Zanes, like XAN.
Yes.
Because I avoid it. The shampoo uses all natural. There's no alcohol, nothing. And it's environmental too, so I thought. But I do need some silicone to
Yeah, if you have highly porous hair and you've been diagnosed by a professional, or you've determined based on the fact that your hair dries in 30 minutes or something like that,
Yeah.
with product on it?
Yeah, I would say an hour.
Okay. And what kind of product are you using?
The shea butter,
Mm-hmm. And are you using anything to seal?
a little bit of olive oil gel.
Okay. Okay, so you're layering. Okay. Okay. So we'll talk about more specifically with your situation, because I want to make sure that you're not doing something that's going to be harmful to your hair. And I see Donna looking at her watch, so I need to be mindful of what Donna's doing. I have good I drive,
Yeah.
so.
So I just want to interject, because we have the room till 5, because they do set up, because they have a live band here this evening. So we can probably move out until, I'll check with them to see if they need to set up right away. We still have time, but I just want to say, I'll just check with them to see if we can just kind of linger while they're setting up. So that way you can still have time to, talk and ask questions without, yeah.
Right. Because they are here. We're so glad that
Yeah,
you're
And so another thing, we were talking about knowing your porosity level so that you can determine what products you're going to use. And so for low porosity hair, you need something that's essentially going to absorb into your hair. So I know it's very popularly said for you to use milks and liquid conditioners, leave-in conditioners for low porosity hair. unfortunately, if the formulation doesn't work well, and I've done this with a couple of leave-in conditioners, my hair will not retain moisture. So even though my hair may absorb it, because the formulation didn't do much for moisturizing my hair, I didn't retain much moisture. And I've tried a few of them. But on the flip side, we have Wonder Curl Buttered in Love Pudding. My low porosity hair loves that moisturizer. Okay, loves it. Now the Get Slick Hair Smoothie is a moisturizer by Wonder Curl that's actually liquidy. So you would think for low porosity hair, because it's liquidy, that would be better for the hair. But it turns out the Buttered in Love Pudding, which is this right here, it looks like a, you know, it looks like a butter, right? But it goes on wet. So my low porosity hair receives this very well and stays moisturized well into the 8th day, because I don't go beyond that. I wash my hair every week. So for I just want to get this in, make sure everyone knows. So for high porosity hair, it is making sure you use aloe-based products. And again, Wonder Curl products are aloe-based. So you can use her products if you have high porosity hair, and you can use the products if you have low porosity hair. So you really want to look at bringing your pH down if you have high porosity hair, so that your hair, the cuticle layer, is laid as closed as possible. And you also need to make sure that you are applying the product in small sections. The same thing with low porosity hair, so that you have more control. So if you have all this hair and it's moist or it's wet, and then you start adding your product, there are going to be portions of your hair that are going to be missing the product. You're not really sealing it. You need to work in small sections. When you have challenges to your hair, work in small sections for better control. I'm going to answer her question first. She's been waiting for a while.
I just was your thoughts on co-wash.
I'm glad you asked.
I am so glad she asked me, what are my thoughts on co-washing? Co-washing is when you use a conditioner to wash your hair. You cannot wash your hair with conditioner. All you're doing is conditioning your hair. You're softening your hair. You're smoothing your hair. What needs to come before that is you need to cleanse. Like, you wouldn't just, say my arms are dry, let me just put some lotion on every day. Let me just lotion my skin because it feels dry. Yes, your hair is going to feel dry after you've shampooed, but that's because you've cleaned your hair. And now you've provided a good, clean surface, a fresh surface for your hair to receive moisture. And that's vitally important for those of us who have low porosity hair. So never, ever, ever should you be co-washing if you have low porosity hair, because you're going to have an even more difficult time getting moisture into that hair. Now, for those who have highly porous hair, I still would recommend that you use a shampoo. You may not need, you're going to need sulfate, because you're going to be using silicones to seal the moisture in. So again, I would not recommend co-washing for either high porosity or low porosity. Normal porosity hair, you can get away with certain things, but you don't want to get to a point where you're leading your hair to become highly porous because you didn't take care of it. Don't abuse your hair just because you have normal porosity hair and think you can get away with everything. You still need to be able.
There's a clay cleanser here.
Yeah, and also just to kind of think about with the whole co-washing, your hair, your scalp normally produces its own oil. Just if you ever think of when you wash after you cook fried chicken, because I know y'all did, right? And then the pan is greasy. How do you get the grease out? You need something to cleanse it. That soap, that action, it binds the oil, takes it away. It's the only way you're going to get rid of the oil. It's the only way.
Told me.
I told you, go ahead, darling. I have a medical background, so I get it. So if you don't remove that oil, all you're going to do is to build up oil. You're going to clog your pores, and then you're going to have more issues, dry scalp, and who knows what other kind of issues. So, yeah. So make sure you cleanse your hair.
She took it to the scalp level. I was answering the hair, so just so you know. I knew that.
Dana, there's something you said about aloe and low porosity, and I found I have a lot of girlfriends who are low porosity who cannot take aloe at all, because aloe is usually used to close your cuticle.
Low pH.
And so, yeah.
And I understand and I get that. Again, you're working in context. So if you have a product that is absorbed into your hair, like the Buttered in Love Pudding, I have extremely low porosity hair in the crown section. When I put that in, it actually does absorb it. And so because my hair absorbs it, and it is a moisturizer in the way that it's formulated to retain that moisture, I do get moisture retention there. Yeah. So it has so much more to do with the formulation. We do have to test out products and see what works for us. I do have a low porosity client who defies almost everything that I do with my hair does not work on her hair. But she's a very special case. So that's why I say if you're experiencing, you're struggling with getting moisture into your hair and you can't figure it out and you've gone through a billion products, you may want to just go ahead and go to a professional. You may want to just go ahead and come to me. And I'm serious. No, come to me. This is my specialty. Yeah. Yes.
I do want to give people time if they want to get to Scarlett the products and then bring their questions to you directly. Okay. Do you want to do that?
Okay.
Did you have a lot more?
No, I did.
I think because we did a portion of it while she was presenting. I think I've pretty much covered everything.
And let me check with them out there. Okay.
So as Donna was saying, that we're going to now take, as a close, we're going to take questions directly. But you can come over here and take a look at this lovely table and see these are 4 of these products are in my hair right now. The Butter Than Love Pudding, the Get Slick Hair Smoothie, the Curl Control Styling Lotion, and yes, and the Get Set Hairs. Yes, stop. Oh, it stopped. Oh, it did? Why?
And I forgot about.
No, it didn't. It's going.
Well, it stopped for me. Oh, okay. It would not connect up. Sorry.
So just so everyone knows, I don't know if you can hear me, we're going to be bringing the meetup to a close, so I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in, and I will have this replay on my
I'm her sister.
I will have this Go ahead.
I am her sister, and I did photography for her. Okay, thank you.
She had her 15 seconds to fame, so I wanted to thank you. You're going to walk through again? I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to replaying this myself so I can see all your comments and all your questions. So again, I thank you for tuning in to us, and have a great day.
That's hard.